using Azure Cloud Services. And we will obviously train and evaluate our model using machine learning Azure Designer. And after that, we will sharing some tips with you related to like cloud services and how we can manage different types of Azure cloud services and their cost. So now I will be forwarding it to uh, Noor. So she will be going through you all of you to machine learning designer and introduction part. So yeah, you can proceed, Noor.
So yeah, hello everyone. Uh, Mohsin, could you please change the slide? Like the next slide, please. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
So this is basically.
Yeah. So hello everyone. This is Noor Fatiha Tahiyat. I'm currently a graduate student at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Brack University. Mohsin, could you please uh, go back to the previous slide? Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Which one?
The first one, the introduction one.
This one or
Yeah, yeah.
the review?
This one. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
So currently I'm a gold Microsoft Learn student ambassador. I have 5 Microsoft certifications as for now. So those are AI 900, ASN 900, PLI 900 and all. So we can talk about Microsoft certifications for students at the very end of this session if you're interested. And I am currently a senior manager working at the Department of Research at Bangladesh Extension Education Services, which is an NGO at Bangladesh, and I am also an AWS Cloud Captain or AWS Cloud Club Lead at Brack University. So at the very end, below, you can see some social media handles. You can reach out and I will be happy to assist you. So next slide, please.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just start talking about what is machine learning. So machine learning is basically an application of artificial intelligence. So you know that artificial intelligence is a very vast topic. It includes a very different kinds of concepts like computer vision, natural language processing, deep learning, and many more. So it provides us a system with the ability to automatically learn and improve from the learnings without being explicitly programmed. So machine learning is basically a technology that uses mathematics or statistical concepts. Previous slide, please. Yeah. So concepts like linear algebra, calculus, probability theory, and optimization, which enable us to make computer system that can learn from the data and improve their performance with on time yeah, on real time basis. So if we summarize, what we get is when we have data and we choose a learning algorithm, appropriate learning algorithm for that data. After producing our machine learning model, we can have a set of understanding. So, for example, if we go for spam filters, so in case of spam filter, our data is our mail body, and from that mail body, we can detect phrases or texts that are inappropriate or that can that have the demand of high demand of money, or that can say that wanting of loans or something. So based on these we can we can train our model and we can have an understanding whether that particular mail is spam or not. So yeah, now you may have a question that if machine learning works to infer data to understanding, so what's then the difference between machine learning and data mining? Because we know that data mining is also referring to the data and we can have an understanding. So Here, a very basic difference is like in case of data mining, we have our data, and when we like use the algorithm, we can find specific patterns. We can see the trends within the data, and that's our understanding. But in case of machine learning, we can predict future based on the present data. Like in my undergrad thesis, what we did is we we predicted urbanization of a certain city. So based on the previous data, like from 1990 to 2020, we can predict how the city will look like in the upcoming years, like 2025 or 2030. So that's what machine learning specifically can talk about. Yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Now let us talk about the aspects of machine learning. So there are various kinds of approaches, machine learning approaches, but the most popular ones are supervised machine learning, where we will have our labeled data. In case of supervised machine learning, we must remember that we will have our data labeled. And in case of unsupervised learning, the algorithm is trained on unlabeled data. So here we can discover patterns with the help of unlabeled data. We can discover patterns or structure or relationship between the entities. But in case of supervised learning, we use supervised learning uh, having the label data so that we can predict the future or map a specific function. And in case of semi-supervised learning, we will have some labeled data and some unlabeled data. So for example, Facebook recently used semi-supervised learning to annotate their audio, to transcribe their audio basically. So it as far as I read, that first of all it used 100 hours of labeled data, and then it used 500 hours of unlabeled data. So one thing we can also remember in case of semi-supervised learning, that in here we will have a very few portion of labeled data, but lots and lots of unlabeled data, and this helps us to maximize our accuracy. And lastly, we have reinforcement learning. So in case of reinforcement learning, uh, the algorithm learns by interacting with the environment and receiving feedback back and forth from the environment. So one very famous example about reinforcement learning is that suppose we have a baby at our home. Um, let's assume that he is 1.5 year old, and he sees that there's fire, and he kind of feels like fire is very beautiful. It's so like shiny and sparkly. So he or she moves towards fire, and when once he gets very close, he may like put his hand somewhere near the fire. But what will happen, he will feel heat, and based on that he will have the learning that fire is not something good, it is not beneficial for him. So he will receive a sense of threat from that incident. So from then on he will will not go near fire. So that's what the concept of machine learning is, that we train our robot or our models based on like these reward and like threat uh, policy. So yeah, uh, Mohsin, next slide, please.
Yeah, sure. Just wait.
Yeah. Now it's time for us to know about Azure Machine Learning. So Azure Machine Learning is a cloud service that you can use to create, train, evaluate, and deploy your machine learning model. And you can also manage your resources on Azure Machine Learning like portal. So you can use Azure Machine Learning for any kind of machine learning, from classical ML to deep learning, supervised or unsupervised learning. So you can also have the flexibility to prefer writing your own code. It may be on Python or using R code with the SDK, or you can also use no code or local deployment options. We will be exploring the options within a minute. And also another thing that I would like to mention about Azure Machine Learning is that you can start training on your local machine and then you can scale out to the cloud. So Azure Machine Learning, one very good thing about it is that it provides you the scalability, and it also uses the pay as you go feature, so that you only pay for the portion you use. You don't have to pay or you don't lose your credits for the task you haven't done yet, or the resources you haven't consumed yet. So that's a very incredible feature of Azure Machine Learning, or not a feature, it's a policy actually. So next slide, please.
Yes.
So yeah, here are the three options that Azure Machine Learning offers us AI for any skill level. So first of all, we have the designer option, where we can simply drag and drop our data sets or our algorithm or our train test splitters, and then we can deploy, or we can create and evaluate our model within the designer without any coding. And as for automated ML, it helps us to automate the iterative task, and we can also upload our train data sets, and it will suggest us the best algorithm. And also, lastly, we have the notebooks part. In the notebooks, we have our full freedom to do our code by ourselves. So we don't need to use the low code or no code deployment options. Yeah. Now I would like to pass the floor to our host Mohsin to create our regression model with Azure Machine Learning. So over to you, Mohsin.
Sure. Thank you so much, Noor.
Yeah, most welcome.
So the Noor has explained all the theoretical concept about how we can like what is machine learning and what are the basics of machine learning and what are different types of machine learning. As we have like discussed all the details, let's go through how we're gonna proceed through by using a machine learning into the cloud services, which is basically Microsoft Azure. So let's jump into cloud service part. So first of all, you have to go to Azure portal. It will be like your simple Azure portal in which you can just simply log into. And for able to log in into, you have to like sign up using any Outlook email or any Microsoft email. So you can just basically go through it and sign up. So I have already signed up, so it is like already logging into my system. So first of all, these are some kind of like things you need to understand before working on Microsoft Azure. So there are a tons of option here. So it will be a really daunting task in order to how we're gonna perform and how we're gonna get all those steps. So first of all, this is your Azure portal. When you go to portal.azure.com, so this will be the home page. And for Azure Machine Learning, what we can do is we have to first go through our Azure Machine Learning platform, which is basically this. So you have to click it. And in order to create it, we have to just go through this part, and we will create a new workspace for our Azure Machine Learning project. So in order to uh, place your group resource name, you can like just go through it and create. If you have already created any resource group, you can just manually select it from here. If not, you can like go to the create, and this will be like Azure event. So it can be any name if you want. So this is basically our resource group. And after that, it will be like you have to name the workspace, which is basically all the setup which we have been working on. So it can be anything if you want. So I start with my name basically. So it will be like my workspace name. If it already exists, it will not allow you to create again. But if it's not, so you can like create it with any name. So apart from that, we need to like create to go to the registry. So what registry is used for? It is basically for the Docker image. So after that, we have some kind of container of our project, if you know about the Docker and Kubernetes. So what we can do is we can like move this container and use it in any system, etc. So we have to like go through it, and it will be helpful for us. So in order to like create a container registry, we can like just name it anything you want. So for example, I will like name it as same as my workspace. If not, if it will not exist, so it will be like showing me an error, but I guess it will be available. Yeah. So after that, we need to just go to review and create, and this will like create our whole workspace system, and all those steps like the name of the system, etc. And there are certain things which we need to understand, like the region should be selected at based on our current location. It's not necessary, but it is advisable to go through all the steps which are like required and already satisfied. So after that, we will just create it. So it will like take some amount of time in order to like initialize and submit the deployment part. So yeah, it is like showing it deployment in progress. So our like whole the system which we want to like work on, it is like creating in the Azure Machine Learning Services. So once the deployment is completed, we will like proceed into next steps. So yeah, let's just wait for 1-2 minutes so it will be like completed. So yeah, you can see that the deployment is completed. We can go to our resource, which we have created right now. So we will just simply go to our resource stage. So after that, we have a lot of option, but we need to go to Azure Machine Learning Studio, which is basically where we can like create our web apps and we can build, train, and test and deploy our machine learning models. So let's launch our Machine Learning Studio first. I guess it will like take a little bit of time. Yeah, so I guess it's updated now. So we have multiple options here in Machine Learning Studio. So we have notebook, automated ML, and designer part, which Noor like introduce you all those steps. Like designer is for the basically a newbies which don't know about anything about coding, etc. AutoML is basically we can like automatically train and tune our models, and notebook is for the coders, which we can like use Python code and anything to like experiment something. So before going to like designer part, which our event is, we first have to create some kind of computer resources in which we will be able to like deploy and use a computational power. So for that, what we can do is we can go to compute. So there are like 2-3 options here. So which is by compute instance, compute cluster, Kubernetes clusters. So in order to like get the our system running, we first need to create a compute cluster and compute instance. So these are the basically two things which we will be helpful in our compute resources, etc. So let's jump into computing power. So for first, I will like go to compute instance. Yeah. So for that, like I need to select, there are multiple options for our computing resource development. So the first one is basically the standard DS11, which is a very less amount of cost in order to like use the computer sources of Azure Machine Learning. So the Azure Cloud Services provide different types of computational power depending upon the power of the system, and it cost varies accordingly. So we have like the minimum cost of like using the four core CPU system is $0.19 per hour. So we will like just go to the minimum one. And after that, we will just name the computer resource. So it can be anything like that. For example, if you want to, it will be CV211 or anything like that. So it will be like anything. So we don't have to worry about it. So let's just create it. Yeah, so as you can see that we have like standard CPU system in which we have standard computational power and which has a very less cost compared to other. So after that, we need to create our cluster. So for the cluster, we will like go through all the steps as we have done in compute instance. We will go through the minimum cost, and this will be that standard DS11. And basically the location is Southeast Asia, and we don't have to do anything apart from this in creating that. So we will go to next. And there are certain options here like how many number of nodes. So these are like some kind of cloud concept you need to like read in order to like understand what are the minimum number of nodes and what are the maximum number of nodes. So I won't get into the details of that thing. So we will like proceed into training our model. So it will like obviously take a little bit of time. Yeah, so I guess after that it is like showing us we have finally succeeded. So yeah, it is basically showing us our compute cluster is also succeeded. So first of all, we have all those set up. We have set up our compute resources. Now we will go to the designer part. So in designer part, we have like set of list which we can create. So I will go through the both step. For example, we have a simple example of data set and the designer part. I will like open this. So I will just go through it, how we gonna how we have different type of designer part, and how we gonna show it to the potential users, like how all the steps are working, and we can obviously manually create all those steps as well. So let's just first go through the step is basically automobile price data. It is already available in the dataset, sample dataset. You can go through it and like choose it from the here. So we have a lot of dataset like IMDb movie dataset and different type of dataset. You can just go through it and select any of one which you want. So it will be like any of the, so basically we are working on regression problems. So we will be obviously working on automobile price dataset. So we have different type of columns, etc. And then we will like basically predict the price, etc. So the next step is select column for the data set. So we have a lot of columns in our data set. So maybe it may be depending upon the data set size. We have 50 or 70 columns, but we need to select only those columns which are like correlated with our independent feature. So what we want to predict. So if we have some kind of automobile mileage per hour, etc., it is already it is obviously will impact the price of the automobile. So we will choose those kind of columns so they can like help us in. So if you can see that we have we can go through it and we can like
select all these columns. So here what we did is we use all of these 25 columns except one, which is normalized losses. So which is normalized losses is basically the amount of loss which we have calculated among all the columns, etc. So you can like just take it as a simple thing. Apart from that, we will like select it 25 columns, which is highway mileage per hour, city mileage per hour. So all of these columns are very necessary for us. So we can just save it. And after that, we will like obviously go through the data cleaning part, which is basically we will clean missing data. So if you look at that, so we have a lot of things here. So if you can see, we have an option of selecting which column need to be cleaned. So it is already with rules. I have selected all the columns, so I don't need to like go through each and every column individually. So it is like showing. So minimum missing value ratio, you need to define that. If you want any missing value or anything like that in between, so you have to like show the ratio here. I don't want any missing value, so it is like 0.0 ratio. And maximum missing value ratio, if it is not available, so I will like show it like it can be maximum one. So cleaning mode, we have different types of mode: custom substitution value, replace with mean. As you know that these are very useful imputation method techniques. Replace with median mode. So I'm just what I'm gonna do is removing entire row. Okay. So all the other things are like not necessary for us. So we will just go through the next step. So this is basically the split data. The split data need to be the our data set is need to be like split into training and testing phase. So what is training set is basically what we will do is we will like just create a set of data set in which we will like train our model, and after that for evaluation we will use that test data set so it won't get generalized. So what we are trying to do is here, we are like splitting into training test, and which is basically into score model, which is basically our test data set. So here from training model, we will use a linear regression algorithm, which is basically an algorithm for regression problems. So if we have to predict some kind of things, we will just simply use linear regression in order to like simply create a regression model and predict the prices or predict any numerical value, etc. So the solution method is there are different types of solutions method in linear regression as well. So we are like using ordinary least square method. So yeah, so we're gonna like just close this part, and after that we are like going to training phase. Once the training phase is completed, we will like just go through the score model. So the test data set we have like already split it, we will like score the model. So let's just try to submit this. So if we see any compute target in the panel, let's see. So yeah, if you can like see my screen, I am like creating a pipeline. So it is like already created a pipeline, so it is like not working at all. So what we need to do is we have to like create a manual automated pipeline like this in order to like use our model accordingly. So if you can like see your screen, yeah, so these are all the steps we need to perform. So for that, what we can do is, for example, this is the designer part. And yeah, so basically in designer part, we will go to the create a new pipeline setup. It is, I guess, taking a bit long while showing the screen. I'm sorry for like a weak internet connection. But if you can see my screen, yeah. So for that, for example, I'm just, this is basically the designer part, is we don't need to do any kind of coding or anything like that. We just need to drag and drop. So what we can do is automobile price prediction. We can just drop it here. So there are like tons of data set if you can like look into the left side. So you can just simply create as we have seen before. After that, what we need to do as we have done in the last phase. So before that, we just go through this data set and check the output of the raw data set we have. So we have all these columns, if you can see. Yeah, it's visible now. So yeah, there are like tons of columns as we have 26 columns in journal, but we want to predict the price if you can see the last one. So as I have shown you in the recent pipeline, this is basic the pipeline which we can use by just simply drag and drop. We don't need to do any type of coding, etc. We just need to collect our data into our machine learning platform, and then we will like eventually create all the drag and drop by using the Azure Machine Learning Designer, and it will be like created our whole pipeline for the machine learning setups and train our model and test the model as well. So yeah, so basically I can search it here, select the columns. Yeah, so this is basically the select column in the data set. We can just drop it here as we have seen the before. So I'm just going through the manual setup as well, so you don't know that how we're gonna like create our own custom model. So that was like already created a model in Azure Machine Learning. So before that, in order to like understand how we're gonna get our data into Azure Machine Learning and create our own model. So this is basically all the steps we need to perform. We need to like select the column in the data set. And after that, we what the step already in our model was cleaning the data set, cleaning missing value. So I will like just search it, clean. So yeah, this is one, the basically clean missing value. It is just a drag and drop. You don't need to do any type of coding. It will like all those steps. It will do all those steps for you. And that's why machine learning in Azure is pretty much easy for anyone to understand and learn. So after that, what we will do is we will just normalize the data. What normalization mean is we have some kind of specific value ranging from, let's say, 0 to 255. We need to normalize it to 0 to 1, so it will be like more distributed among the mean situation. So if you know about a little bit about statistics, so it is like that. Yeah, so this is basically you can use the clean dataset and just connect it with the original dataset of the normalized resume, normalized dataset. So there are multiple steps in like dragging and dropping all those, and you can just create a bunch of different things by using Azure Machine Learning. For example, in data transformation, you can just add a new column, add new rows, apply any mathematical operations, SQL transformation, cleaning missing data, which like we already doing it. So apart from that, we have other things as well. So if like, for example, if I look into this part, so if I get into this part, we can just go to the manual and we can select all those columns. So for example, I'm selecting symbolize, except from normalized losses as we have seen that. So we can just simply collect, you can just select all, but we can just do this part as well. So yeah, we just need to save it, which column in the data set we need to work on. We will just simply create it. So this is saving. Yeah, it is saved.
So in the next step, we have different type of set parameters, what we can like set. So we have like select the data set. So apart from that, in missing value, we have different type of data set as well. So columns to be cleaned, there are different types of columns. So we need to select that which column need to be cleaned. So if like we will go to this part and like I will go through the manual because I need to like go through the manual in order to like which of the cleaning missing value we need to clean. So for example, I have bore column which has missing value. If you see the visualization, we have stroke value, stroke column, and the one was horsepower. Yeah, so I will just simply clean all those columns. So we'll just save it. So this will be done. So this error in the normalized data set is asking for the what column need to be and what transformation need to be applied on the normalized data set. So I'm using min-max scalar. If you little bit know about the machine learning, if you don't know, you can just go through the Google and read about what type of normalized transformation we need to perform, and we can perform on our data set. So in simple, if you can go to the column phase, have different types of column we need to like normalize. So if you can see that we have different types of columns, so it already depends upon you which column need to be evaluated based on the data set. So if you like to choose any of the column you need to transform, you can just transform it. So I guess there is this much things in here, so I need to just save it. So I'll just simply create two columns, which is basically symboling, and other column was make. So I will just save all those. Okay. So yeah, it's done. So apart from that, we have different types of once the data set is normalized, we will go through the step of creating and test and split models. So we can just like go through it and split the data set. So it will like show that how this data set can be splitted. So we will just eventually do this part, and this data set will be this. So it will basically split the data set into two parts, which is basically training and testing. So the training data set will go into training phase and the testing data set will go into the evaluation phase. So this is basically how we're gonna create our like uh, custom model. For example, I have my dataset, I will upload it here, and I don't need to perform any type of coding, etc. I will just simply drag and drop all those steps, and Azure Machine Learning will do all those steps for me. It will like remove all those missing columns. We don't need to like go through all the SQL steps and remove missing columns, etc. Data cleaning steps. Azure Machine Learning will do all these kind of stuff for you. So we'll just need to understand the steps and architecture of the machine learning project. So this is basically how we're gonna like train our model. So you just need to understand the first thing is to collect the data and upload the data. And after that, we need to select the columns and understand the business problem. What is the like we are performing regression task, classification task, or anything like that. And after that, we will just show that we are like cleaning missing values and remove all those unnecessary values which we don't want in our model. And after that, we will normalize our model, and based on normalized data, we will just split the data into different parts so we can like just train our model better. So after that, once the splitting data is completed, we will just go to the training and testing phase, and we will use different type of algorithms. So I will like I have shown you like there is one type of algorithm, linear regression, but we have a lot of more option in Azure Machine Learning. We have like tons of options in regression problems, classification problems, and like different types of problems. So you can just go through and select all those steps. And after that, we will evaluate model and it will be like done. So after that, you can basically, once all the steps are done, you can just simply submit it and it will be deployed on your system. So it will be deployed on system means you have the data set and the workspace you have created.
in the dataset which and the workspace we have created, which is basically we are working on. This is my workspace Mohsin, and it will be deployed here. So you can just show it to anyone like I have deployed the model and this is the accuracy, and you can just upload it the model and it will be like give the output accordingly. So these are the, I guess, basic steps I showed you, which is basically like using custom training model and as well as like showing you how already available data and different types of data you can use in Azure Machine Learning. So I guess that's it for my side. Can you like proceed further, Noor?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much to like for showing the demonstration, the step-by-step demonstration. It was really great. And yeah, so lastly, we have some tips for managing cost over Azure. So one very funny incident I would like to mention is like once I deployed one of my machine learning model and I kept it for running. And after like 5 to 10 days, I saw that like I have lost a lot of Azure credit. So make sure to stop your resources after you have done training your model and after your deployment part actually. So first of all, the first step will be configure your training clusters, and you can set your number of nodes to 0 so that no node will be keep on running. And you can also set quotas on your subscription. So if you have multiple subscriptions, like one can be like Visual Studio subscription, and you can also have some other subscription. So if you have multiple subscription, make sure to set quotas based on the subscription in workspaces. And after that, you can also set some termination policies on your training run. So for example, if the like if your resources or your model has been uh, going on for 2 to 3 hours, you can like set the termination policy to scale it down. And you can also set the termination policy based on the minimum accuracy required. And there are so many other options available. At the very end, we have some resources, some references. You can find the reference there. And also there is it is recommended to use low priority virtual machines or VMs. So if you are working with IaaS, that's infrastructure as a service available on Azure, you will be working with virtual machines. So in this case, if you're just exploring Azure, it's recommended to use a low priority virtual machine. And then, yeah, as I have mentioned earlier, that do not forget to stop your computing resources, and it will save you a lot more money. And yeah, here are the resources I talked previously. So make sure to go through them. And yes, uh, okay, next slide. We are basically at the end of our session, so we are done. Thank you very much for listening to us for this previous 1 hour. And I will be showing a feedback form in uh, in a while. And if you have any question, make sure to like unmute yourself and ask. Any question is welcomed. And yeah, it will be very much appreciated if you can like turn on your video so that we can have a group photo together. So yeah, we can start from the questions first. Previously, I have seen that Hamza had some questions, so I hope I have answered his questions properly. If still he has any doubt or any question, he can ask actually.
Mm, Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question about this Azure. That can we train larger data set on it, or it is like used for small for basic purposes?
No, no. You can use larger data sets. You can also scale out to cloud, or you can use your local machine. So you can use any size of data set on Azure.
Or and
Yeah,
like
so
that like he explained about the drag and drop method like we have in Azure. So we can like they are these data set are previously trained in here, or like I did not understand about this concept like drag and drop about like how we can
yeah,
do this.
so yeah, so I will explain it. So for example, if you have any custom data set in your personal computer or you are like working on, you can just upload it here and perform all those steps accordingly, which you need to understand like what is the basically pipeline of machine learning. So this is already created data sets which are already available in machine learning for the like learning purposes. So we have like as I have shown you, we have different type of machine learning data sets related to regression problems, classification problems, computer vision, etc. So it is like already created. You just need to take this data set and like create a manual pipeline, or there are automatically created pipelines. So I have shown you like this is basically we can how the custom pipeline will be created if you want to create on your own data sets. So you can just drag and drop all those steps and you will create your whole pipeline accordingly.
Okay, thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, thank you. If I may add to what Mohsin have said, that on Azure we have some sample data sets. So we can use the sample data set from there. We can also use web URLs to our our like data sets. Like we have some portals like Kaggle or Hugging Face. We can use the data sets from there as well, and we can also upload our manual data set. So we can use any sort of data sets we want.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I
just need to
understood
understand. Yeah, you
the
just need to
pipeline.
understand like what is the pipeline, and one thing is computer resources. So if you are like training a larger model, which is like something related to images and computer vision model, you need to understand that what are the resources need to be present in order to like train that model. So like for example, images model like take a lot of time in training. So you have that much of computation power by using like you can like just pay to Azure services, and it will like provide any type of computer resources to you so you can train our large model, etc.
Yeah, I understood about it. Thank you.
Great. So if anyone has any other questions, so let me know. So Kenur, I guess that's it for today. No one has any question.
So I would like to ask if the chat is visible to every one of you. Like if you can access the chat.
Yeah, yes, I guess they can see the chat as Noor already, Hamza already has asked the question there. So if you can, yeah, just go through the feedback form. Just open the feedback form and share your valuable feedback. Has everyone filled the form?
Let's just wait for a minute for them to complete the form, and after then we can proceed to our group picture.
Sure, sure.
In the meanwhile, Mohsin, could you just open the together mode from the view portion?
Let me just go through it. Yeah, I have enabled it.
All right, that's cool. So far, we have two responses. So I would like to request you all to please quickly fill up the feedback form. And also about the resources, I have provided the Azure for Student resource in the chat, and there is also some other resource that I would like to share. That's about Microsoft certifications. So the campaign will end by June. So if you are a student and if you want to obtain Microsoft certifications for free, so this will be the best option. As I have mentioned at the very beginning of the session that I have 5 certifications, and yeah, I have used this cloud skills share. Okay, I'm going to share the link. Yes. Okay, someone asked that is the recording is available or not. So the recording will not be available, or the recording will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you want the recording, it will be the link will be sent by email. So I guess it will be available on YouTube. I have shared the link of Cloud Ready Skills. You can basically go through the learn paths and claim your free certification voucher with the help of this. Okay, Mohammed Shakur has said that he has filled the feedback form. Thank you very much. So now we can proceed for the group picture, right? I would like to request you all to kindly turn on the camera, if that's convenient. Mohsin, please turn on the together mode.
Yeah, let's just. Yes, I have.
So yeah, anyone else? Okay, we may take the screenshot now. Mohsin, are we done?
Yeah, I guess no more people are joining, so you can just take a screenshot.
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much for joining the session, and thank you very much for being together with us for the previous 1 hour. Uh, we we are thankful, and yeah, you will get the certification certification of participation by email. Thanks again. So would you like to say anything else, Mohsin?
Yeah. So if anyone has question, you can like reach us to through LinkedIn or email. You can reach to Noor, and you can reach out to me as well if you have any question related to Azure machine learning and how we're gonna like deploy large models, etc. So you can just ask or email us. So we will be able to help you.
I have also like put my LinkedIn profile link on the chat. You can access it from here. And thanks again.
Okay, great. So I guess